Hey, Aryn, David commenting on week three. I've got three assignments. The first one is the system change one, and you gave a very detailed and passionate talk about the rape kits, and that's fascinating. It's always interesting to sort of learn about these issues and the cross-cutting issues and the layers of issues. So I thought that was, I'll give you 4 marks for that just because you kind of put a lot of time and thought into it. I think what would have been nice would be, particularly the way I kind of ask the question is kind of, well, what is the particular innovation that you think will change things? Because you mentioned a number of different things, and it would be, if you wanted to focus on, say, maybe two or three things, um, yeah, that's kind of what I was sort of looking for describe what would change and then sustain that change. That would be a sort of self-sustained change, right? So, um, for example, if you increase the reporting rates, does that start to change the behaviour of the police? Say, if you have more people coming forward, will the police change behaviour automatically? How would those things link together? Um, that's the sort of trying to reach a new equilibrium, like trying to disrupt the system, so that all the behaviours change sort of accordingly, rather than sort of having to constantly sort of stand like King Canute, sort of trying to keep back the tide from coming in, which a lot of non-profit organisations find themselves in. So how do you find that innovative program that changes the equilibrium, changes the relationships? Things become quite different, you know. And obviously changing kind of how police. Well, fair enough. You did talk about that, about changing the um, trying to change the system to one that is sort of more victim centered, rather than sort of attacking the victim. But anyway, more concise would be better. The um, on the police one. So you mentioned green dot, multi-systemic therapy, and then these community conversations. So it was good you kind of researched the databases. You had a look there. That was good. You sort of laid it out quite simply, um, and you kind of made a pitch. Where I thought it would be stronger was I did not quite get enough sense of kind of what green dot would do. So I'm a police chief, and I'm thinking, you're asking me to sort of, or maybe the mayor's asking me to participate in this program or help support this program. Uh, there were benefits maybe of reduced crime, but it wasn't quite clear exactly what way, how that would happen. Um, so I kind of didn't feel I had enough to support it. I thought the interesting one was community conversations, because that was sort of spoke more directly to me as sort of on the police force particularly. Okay, so here's an idea: having community people come together, is that going to change the attitudes of maybe the police, maybe change the attitudes of the community as well? Um, so I thought it was an interesting one. Multi-systemic therapy. A sort of well-researched program with evidence based behind it. Um, Problem for if this is going to support, is this going to get the police backing? Because it's sort of a little bit outside of their remit, and particularly if they're asked to cough up funds. Though I was ambiguous as to whether they were the ones being asked to do it. So I wasn't quite sure it was the appropriate program for this. It's a good program, but whether it was particularly addressing the needs that the mayor was interested in, and the police were interested in, I didn't I didn't get that. So um, so I'm going to take some points off there because I think you hit something, missed a few things. Um, the On your non-profit, the Crisis Centre, um, you explained kind of why they chose this program, which is basically as an underserved population, and you gave some good discussion actually, which would have fit well for the needs assessment work there about that, about trying to identify the needs. Um, the theory of change um, was well, but by the way, I like the fact that you quoted Epstein as well. By the way, in talking about theory of change, you laid out, just shows me that you're reading the articles, things I give you. You laid out the assumptions about trust, which is, and theories of change laying out assumptions is always good because assumptions are often missing, as we saw go back to that admitting failure case. What do we expect people to do and why people are doing things? The theory of change would like to see a bit of a simpler, sharper steps involved. Here's the intermediate outcomes, here's the longer term outcomes. Maybe alongside a narrative as well, maybe some graphical or bullet points or whatever is a typical format for theories of change. Anyway, but they were, I kind of felt they were good. They were taking a couple of points off for each of those last two assignments because I think you could have provided a bit more in depth, and as I said and a bit more rationale. That's what I'm looking for, a bit more analysis. Okay, I hope that explains things. All right, bye.